Won't replace a brand new broken lawnmower but will let me return and reorder? Okay. So, I bought a riding lawnmower a few years ago from a big home store. I paid for delivery and upon said delivery it didn't start. The delivery truck had left by the time I had gotten gas in it and figured this out, so I called the store. I explained that my brand new just delivered today lawnmower was not starting, and immediately the person on the phone asked me if I purchased the extended warranty. I hadn't, so they told me it would cost $100 to have them come get the lawnmower and then however much more the repairs were. Mind you, this was brand freaking new. In my mind they should bring me a new one to replace the one that didn't work upon delivery. No matter how much I argued, this worker was sticking to their story. I quickly changed my tactic and asked what the return policy was. As long as a return was initiated within 30 days I could have a full refund including the cost of delivery, and the store would come pick up the mower for me at no additional cost. So I pointed out that the store wouldn't replace my non-working item by taking one trip to my house to pick up the non-working one and bring me one that worked, and instead would make 2 trips to pick up the one that didn't work, and then bring me the new one I purchased the second time as a totally different transaction. The worker said yes, and when I tried to point out how that made no sense, he didn't want to hear it. So right then and there I initiated a refund. I then immediately ordered a new one and had him set up the delivery date. After that date was set, we had to schedule the date for pickup of the old mower, and I made myself unavailable for any date other than the delivery date for the new one. So even though he had insisted they wouldn't just bring me a replacement mower and pick up the first one, they were now doing just that, but with the additional paperwork of processing a return and additional paperwork for delivery of the new mower. The manager called me later that day to apologize for the hassle, and they ended up waiving my delivery fee.
Now to the comments. I worked at a Lowe's in customer service. It's atrocious, but I can confirm that this type of shit is common. Most systems aren't set up to process what you need done. We literally had to return and then sell a new one to set up delivery. Quite often we'd set up an exchange with a delivery and then just swap out the items. Odds are that person was never trained for an exchange sale. 90% of the store I worked at wasn't trained on doing one. Heck, a good 90% weren't trained to do a return at all.
I remember the Home Depot rental program when I worked there. People would rent equipment for jobs, ruin it, and then return it within the 90 days or whatever for a full refund. I knew a tile crew that did this to like 3 or 4 saws in the period I was there. The system is broken, nobody is fixing it, and we all just take advantage where we can.
Same thing would happen at my store. They'd trash something and then bring it in for a return. If it was after 30 days, I started turning them down. A good few would witch about it to a manager, which I'd straight up tell them it was way over the date. Managers would return it anyway. I did something very similar with a certain department store that is all but gone now. My property is kinda hilly. So much so that a push mower won't work. Went to the department store and explained to the sales guy that we needed a riding mower that could handle the steep incline. A commercial mover was a bit out of budget. We purchased what the sales guy suggested, and a few days later it was delivered. Gassed it up, started mowing, and it stalled on the least steep incline. We called to complain and requested to return it. They had a silly return policy for any gas-powered items. They refused to take it back once it has fuel in it. So we found a much cheaper push mower that would at least work on the flat areas. So we requested an exchange. We also paid through PayPal, which their archaic POS system didn't really know how to process. Think CRT with orange on black. The pickup of the riding mower and the delivery of the push mower were a few days apart, with the pickup being first. So after they picked up the riding mower, we cancelled the push mower order.
So how do you mow the lawn now?
Goats. Don't you have any consumer protection laws? If the lawnmower didn't work, are they not legally obliged to repair or replace?
The manufacturer of the lawnmower is. But since initiating a warranty claim with the manufacturer is usually a long process, many prefer to just return the item to the place of purchase. I'm guessing that was OPS reasoning as well. but the place of purchase is not legally obligated to do anything to help you if a product is defective out of the box.
Man, that's a silly way to do things. You didn't buy the mower from the manufacturer, you bought it from the retailer. The worker knew it was stupid. They didn't want to hear it because they couldn't do a dang thing about it.
This. As someone who worked in retail, ducking this, like you think I don't know that doesn't make sense? No shit.
I hold you, the corporate slave making pennies an hour, responsible for the fat cat policy making my life difficult. This is how they design it. Sometimes workers are stuck with policies that they know are stupid, but don't have the authority to do anything about. Congrats on finding a workaround. But I'm surprised they just dropped off the first mower. When I bought mine, they put a small amount of fuel in and started it at the shop, then on delivery the driver started it and drove it a little to show me that it worked, then had me start and drive it so they knew I was doing it right, and wouldn't call about it not working if I, say, tried to start without the brake on.
On the other hand, some employees are just so inadequately trained they have no idea how to proceed with non-standard requests. Listen, I went to Arby's. They've had Swiss cheese roast beef sandwiches for, like, ever. They've never stopped with the Swiss or the beef or having buns, but let me tell you, I pulled up to an Arby's and the guy at the register had no idea how to put in a basic roast beef sandwich W/Swiss cheese. Like, this wasn't me asking for some 5-flavor latte at Starbucks. So while there's policies, there's also a thing going on with training.
There's also stupid high people. Worker is paid $13 per hour, his manager is a dick and his feet hurt. He doesn't have the time or energy to fight store policy when it's not even his money on the line.
Right? If the store policy is stupid, it is stupid. Not his job. If he attempted to make it his job, then he would be told it's not his job. In situations where service staff have no leeway and aren't allowed to problem solve, then that's what they do. Manager always apologizes because it's their job to kiss ass. Customer thinks that they're a genius when really it's just the people in charge of the store don't give a duck and don't empower their staff.
It's pretty simple to say, it's store policy and I don't have any authority to waive it. Simple statements like that tend to help the situation and redirect the frustrated customer to a supervisor or to deal with it. That employee made their underpaid day harder than it needed to be. I've worked in places where we had to follow stupid policies like that, but we made every effort to hide it from the customer. The customer only ever saw us take back the defective item and give them a new one. They didn't see that we had to do the extra paperwork to follow the manufacturer's rules. You might have to do stupid things at work, but that's no reason to look stupid in front of your customers. And yeah, we'd sometimes eat the shipping costs. That's a cost of doing business. The worker on the phone probably didn't want to hear it because they knew how stupid it was but were powerless to make it run better. It would be interesting what the consumer law is over there. We have a system where if you purchase something and turns out that it is not working or in fit condition for use, there is a no questions asked requirement that the vendor makes things right entirely at their expense immediately. We also have a mandated 14-day buyer's remorse law that every internet-based vendor has to abide by with no questions asked. We have decent protection in this socialist hellhole called Norway. Smile.
Sweden here. It's normal for companies to call electronics DOA, dead on arrival, if they break down within a month of sales. They know about the cynicism in their products and that there are always some lemons and duds. They also know that you don't win any long-term returning customers by screwing them over, and that it is much more expensive to find new customers than retaining old ones. We also have state/EU mandated warranties as well, so there's little need in buying extended warranty programs. Same with buyer's remorse, but that only applies for orders made outside the store, internet, phone orders, mail orders etc. And the time starts ticking when what you bought is delivered, not when it was paid for. My Toyota is 15 years old, and it's still getting recalls to fix issues. I haven't paid for any type of warranty since I bought it used in 2013.
Yep, pretty much the same here in Norge. Oh, the hellish nightmare we have to endure with these sorts of rules. It going to send the companies broke? No, just joking, they are continuing to make record profits despite having to pay a living.